How's it going, everybody? Today's topic: Did Pearl Abyss sell as a game that's still in beta? Cause kind of feels like it. How's it going, everybody? I'm Brian from GameSense. If you don't mind, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. I try to upload 2 to 3 times a week, and it's been helping me out greatly. We've been growing. This all thanks to you. So let's get into today's topic. Uh, there's a lot of issues with the game, and I and it's a whole lot of them. So the reason why I say I think this game feels like it's still in beta, we need to be able to store armor and chest. We need to be able to store everything else in like the storage container, which we now can, but we need to be able to store like different things and like different chests. Take Skyrim, right? Very first area of the game, man, there's like dozens of barrels everywhere. You can store random stuff. You could sort stuff. You could have whatever you wanted in them barrels. This game, we have one chest with a limit that's not even at 250. We got to be able to send stuff to swords, send stuff to chests. That's not in the game. I think if we just have chests for like dressers and wardrobes, stuff like that, I do think they confirmed that they are going to add like a usable wardrobe since we have a wardrobe in our house for armors and stuff. I think that is coming. Uh, at least have that to 50 to 100 spaces. Have the storage container to, let's bump that up from like 240 to like 400. You know, a good amount because let's face it, no one wants to have to go back to the first few days of this game where, let's face it, you were spending, if you're anything like me, you were spending half your time in the inventory trying to figure out what to keep, what to get rid of. I think the bandits, they are despawning way too fast. They need to add an extra timer to keep them around for like an additional 20 seconds so that way we can actually loot them. Um, if you have something on you but full spaces, like your inventory is full, and the dead guy has one of them items, um, you can't pick up one of those items, even though you have the ability to. But if you drop one item, you'll go pick up like the 4 items on that dude's character. Like, I understand you having full slots, but let's say he has an arrow and you have 20 arrows, you should be able to pick that arrow up. You can't. If they're not going to do any more spaces, maybe put items that we group together, have that count as one slot. I think that'd help a lot. Be able to go first person when placing items in the house. I think that's going to help a lot. That needs to be added, and it really should. For puzzles also, we need to be able to do this for puzzles. To be able to equip new gear from the inventory, from what's on the character, not just unequip. Because when you go to the inventory menu and you scroll over your character, all you can really do is unequip stuff. Like, you have to go off to the right, find your armor, and then equip it. You can't actually do it from like the character itself. That don't seem very finished. Put the descriptions of items in different colors. They're almost impossible to read. You got like brown on brown, gray on gray, stuff like that. Do like white, black, or I don't know, gray, red, something. And also double, if not triple, their font size because I have a 65-inch TV. I struggle to read some of the writing in this game because it is that small. Items clipping through each other. They seem to have gotten worse after pre-release, and I don't understand how that happened. Make prompts that show up telling you how to fight, fish, etc. Uh, be in a dark black and um, you know, kind of like what I was saying a second ago. Have one being like a dark black, one being like a bright white, or something that contracts. So something that is easier to see. All right, we need a real lock on. Um, this lock on we have is so poorly done. We can't really sneak behind anyone. We can't even really attack from behind unless our special moves like get us behind it and then we attack. But it's so poorly done. It basically needs a complete overhaul. Uh, I say they need to add more time for catching horses, fishing, stuff like that, just to make it easier. Especially consider you're trying to do a lot of the stuff at the beginning of the game. If y'all see me cover my mouth a lot, I have like a massive toothache right now, so I'm actually trying to like hold it together. Be able to zoom in on weapons and armor. We can zoom in and inspect ranches and stuff, but we can't inspect weapons, which is kind of crazy because a lot of games today have to where, hey, you can inspect the close up of the swords and stuff. You can't on this game. How about a bookshelf so that way we can put past books or papers on? Or a booklet that takes up like one slot, and then we put all the past papers on there. So that way, if we don't want to sell them, they don't take up inventory. Let's give an option to use or not to use a key instead of using the key automatically, because a bunch of doors require them to take a key for no, and they don't really make a lot of sense. Have an option to automatically open and read something. You have to pick up and analyze, like you can with bounties. With bounties, because bounties, like, you pick them up and it works, but you can't do it with a lot of other things, which is like you figured they would have carried that over. Fix the lip syncing. It's completely off for some people. There's also more like clipping, like you can see under the world and stuff. I think they have fixed some of that, but not all of it. Fix notes. Not opening on the first try. A lot of them take 2 and 3 times to get open. It's kind of annoying because once you read it the first time, that little exclamation point goes away. Camp provisions donating. All the numbers at the top were kind of washed out against the white blue sky, so I think they need to do like a different color for that. Why is it stealing if everyone's dead at a house or a cart or whatever? If everyone's dead, the wagon's broken, why is that still stealing? I don't get that. Why does it save at a checkpoint 500 meters away in a location the mission wasn't even in? I don't understand that. I would add health bars above anything you hit, above their head, like most games. It could be a little enemy, it could be a boss, it could be whatever. They got it and fixed the input commands during boss fights, because too many times I tried to swing and I had max stamina. I let it regen, and he just stood there, especially on the Reed's boss and the Hope After drop mission. And I'm just trying to do the light attack. He wouldn't even swing to do the light attack. So I don't know if that's a bug with that mission or what. But it got to the point for me to beat him, I literally just did all heavy attacks, which is crazy because heavy attacks actually use stamina, light attacks don't. Like the light attack wouldn't work in that fight. I don't know why. Uh, can't read bounties in inventory while on a horse. Even if you're completely stopped, it don't make that'll make a lot of sense. Um, they need to add GPS to locations, like if you set a waypoint, or for missions. I mean, that'd help. Um, if you have a horse and a bounty on the horse, once you call the horse, it drops the bounty back at its original location, because even if the horse is like 10 feet away, it does like a mini teleportation to you, and then it kind of glitches that character back to wherever you picked him up. So if you're about to turn it in, he might go like 3,000 meters away. Uh, Kind of a skip cutscene option. I mean, they got a fast forward, but especially for like the forest areas, because you get knocked out by those little green guys and stuff and the little girls, and that gets annoying to watch after a while. Um, when you kill an animal, put a mark on the map, because it really needs the ability, like Red Dead, to mark it so that way you don't miss anything. Um, go prone or make it easier to sneak kill people. Now, granted, this ain't Assassin's Creed, you're actually wearing armor, but I don't know. It'd be pretty cool if we could actually go in and get at least 2 or 3 free kills. Um, the no merchant bug's kind of annoying. The sign will be there, like the little icon for the merchant, but he won't actually be there. Add a favorite and can't sell option for items. I don't know, it'd be awful if you got a legendary weapon and you accidentally sold it or donated it. But you can right now. Mark stuff to sell. Once you get to a merchant, just have an auto sell button also. Make the game so much better. Make the numbers on weapons and upgrades like significantly bigger, because it kind of needs it. Like at least do a 50% increase, just to make it easier to see. You shouldn't have to like squint or get up in front of your TV to like read the numbers. Be able to use upgrade materials from stores at Smiths. I think that'd be a really good quality of life improvement. And I think it'd be really needed too. Uh, make the Abyss Nexus symbols for fast travel somewhere between 50 and 100% larger, because man, when you're zoomed out or zoomed in, they're kind of small and they're really easy to miss. Let us fast travel on a horse. Why isn't that a thing? Matter of fact, there's a lot of issues with the horse in this game. You can't read stuff on the horse. You can't fast travel on the horse. And there's other problems with the horse too. I think with missions and stuff. If you summon your partner 5 minutes ago, don't randomly reload your game to summon them when you try to go into your inventory or map, because this happens at the absolute worst times. I mean, you'll be getting ready to go fight a boss or something, and then it'll be like, oh, hey, we're summoning in your partner. And now it puts you like 400 meters away. Yeah, with a partner, but now you got to go run to the boss again. I would have at least liked one shot at the boss by myself. I mean, damn. Game needs a double check stat requirements. So I'll go to use an ability that says I need 200 stamina. But I'll have 200, like 60, 280, something like that. But it'd be like, yeah, you don't have enough. So They need to recheck some of that stuff. The game needs to stay in to whatever world tab you had active last. It just stopped selecting random ones because it kind of seems like that's what it does. It never stays to what I last had it on. Add a feature to pass time anywhere. Like, just get off your horse and meditate or something. This one's a big one. Fix the freaking horse. I swear that 90% of the time I'm on foot because how unreliable the horse is. He's not fast, even the legendary ones a lot of times. Sometimes they'll just refuse to sprint to the point it's faster not to be on the horse. That needs to be fixed and soon. I'll use tonics, sugar cubes. I'll use everything that's. I'll use the healing, that healing thrust that that Google says is supposed to help. I'll do everything, and then the horse at some point in time will just get stuck and just decide not to run ever again. It's probably going to be in the next update, knowing them, because they've been doing pretty good at this, but still, that needs to be fixed. Why do all of the forest have some bullshit knockout gas that spawns you wherever? That needs to be removed from the game. I'm not talking about you might need to shrink the area or, give you a timer or let you see these creatures easier or something. But that just needs to go because every damn forest has some annoying feature. It's like, so not only you got to worry about enemies, but now the peaceful sections, supposedly, of the map, you just got little guys that say, nah, you need to go that way 500 meters for whatever reason. And they decided to use this multiple times. No idea who thought that was a good idea. The out of bounds needs to be made clear from the beginning. Have a bold black outline all around it. And don't just say out of bounds. For when you're so far gone that there's no way in hell you're going to make it back. It seems like that timer only shows up when when you don't have enough time or stamina to get back. I think question marks should go away and be replaced with locations names so people can look up how to beat said puzzles and fast travel locations, like stuff like that. Because let's say you get to a place, if it then pops up the name of that place, people can then look it up, find out how to beat said puzzle, and then have a new fast travel location. Redo the whole UI for the character and inventory. You can't tell what anything looks like. The mini map is useless. It should be like a tan or a white background with a black or dark brown for roads, so you can actually kind of see something. Then have like a zoom out button, so that way you can kind of like GTA, where you press like down on the D-pad and it does like a bloom. It like zooms out, so that way you can kind of see future roads coming. You can't even see the roads on this game. And let alone see other roads beside you. We need to add waypoint markers on objectives especially anything that the game doesn't tell you, like what to destroy, what rock to pick up with the machine. Like, once the objective changes to like, hey, pick up said rock, put a marker on the rock. It seems like every mission in this game, people have to look up a guide because they don't know which rock. They don't know if they don't they're not using the controls correctly. What? Like, they made the game unnecessarily complicated. This one's a big one. Why the hell are they patching in durability to weapons that didn't have durability before? So weapons that couldn't break before now can. So all your favorite weapons that for the first, like, I guess close to a week now, that couldn't break, they had no durability, so you could use them infinitely, now have 100 durability. When I'm playing this game, I stay away from all the weapons, even though a lot of them are better, that have refinements and durabilities of 100. And I try to stick with the ones that have infinite durability, so that way I never have to worry about, is this thing gonna break on me in the middle of a battle? Like, what happens if I do a long battle, then do another long battle behind it? Am I now gonna have to switch weapons mid combat just to make sure the weapon don't break? The spears, especially, like, I think every single hit for the spear drops the durability. Like one. So if you do fast attack and you're like bam, 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 bam. Man, next thing you know, your 100 is like at a 70. You go take on a horde, you might break your spear or on the verge of it like every battle. And the sad thing is, you're seeing all these people going after all these rare weapons right now, myself included. These weapons did not have durability. The most recent patch has put them in there. So now all your favorite weapons are now fragile. I guess I wonder if too many people were doing what I was doing. They weren't using necessarily the better weapons because they had that durability stat. And they were, it's because they can't break. And I guess they're like, well, now they all can break pretty much. Because when I checked my game today, matter of fact, I actually have it open beside me. Uh, the hollow visage now has a reinforcement level. It did not before. So does the Darkbringer. The Darkbringer did not have a durability before. That is incredibly annoying because those are my main two weapons now. I use the Hollow Visage for my one hand, and whenever there's a whole lot of enemies, I use my Darkbringer. And it's because that R2 attack is pretty awesome. And it's great for taking out guys, especially with shields. That's gotta go. They need to fix puzzles holding jewelry in houses. aka like Saint's necklace. Um so when you're doing puzzles in this game, whether it be for like jewelry or for missions, side quests, whatever, you have to get them within millimeters of each of the desired location. And I got tongue tied because I got so angry because there's been so many times, like the picture, like, have it like this, and then you'll have it like this. You'll be off like 3 millimeters on this one, like 2 millimeters on this one. Like, nope, that ain't good enough. They literally programmed in. You basically have to have it perfect. I've had, I was following a guide for an armor set, and I had to do it's like a three painting, and I had to rotate them in the right way. Dude, I had them. I think I had one perfect, and the other two were like 98% perfect. No, I had to go in and readjust all of them until they were like 100% perfect. There is no leeway whatsoever, and that is absolutely insane. Make taming animals way easier. Like, that mini game is a joke and it is not enjoyable. Um, it's way too hard for no reason. Even when you do the correct thing, the meter doesn't always go up. It's supposed to work like whenever you, like, let's say you're going for a horse. You're supposed to point the joystick toward the horse's butt. And that works the majority of the time. Let's say 70% of the time. But like 30% of the time, that doesn't work. Either that or it has to be so perfect because there's no leeway in this game. And I hate to say it, this game deserves everything bad that's kind of happening to them right now. To their stocks falling 30 to 40%, to gamers bashing it, to Steam refunding tens of thousands of copies. Now Sony is. Sony, who doesn't do refunds, are now letting people who have played the game, which they don't do, get full refunds. Someone posted it on Facebook last night, and I looked it up, and he showed his receipt. And I forget how many hours, and I think he was still in the first area of the game, but I'm pretty sure he had like 20, 30 hours or something, maybe more. Sony still refunded him the game because they think the game is broken. I think the game is broken. And here's the sad thing. None of this that I mentioned is a massive, massive game killer. The game is still addicting to play. But they gotta check their ego. And I'm pretty sure the reason why they're doing so many updates so fast is because they got punched in the mouth. And you know what? They kind of deserved it. Like, they really didn't think this through at all. Like, I don't know what they were thinking or what, but this is crazy. Like, I really don't understand what happened. How did it get to this? Like, if they would have, if somebody would have ego checked them, they would have delayed this game until probably June 15th or something. All the UI problems would have been gone. The storage system would have been gone. The controls probably would have been tightened up. We would have had multiple different ways to store stuff. Probably with a wardrobe, a storage, maybe dressers and stuff by June, July. We're talking then about a game that has tightened up its UI, has a usable mini map, doesn't have all these bugs on launch. You're now talking about a game whose Metacritic started off at around 77, then I think it rose to like 82. Could you imagine what it would have been if they would have released this game in a competent state? The game still scored some 9s and 9.5s from people, even with all the issues. If this game gets fixed, probably in the next 3 to 4 months, its Metacritic wouldn't have been an 82, a 77 to 82 in launch. It probably would have been a 90. 3 months cost this game so much, not just stock prices. I've seen YouTubers that I follow that have 250,000 plus subscribers, and they go to stream this game. Day one had like 82 and 85 and 50 people watching. All because at that time there was like 50 or 60 reviews then, and the Metacritic had, I think, just risen to close to 80. Because people were like, oh, we lost all hype for this game. Take a guy like Moxie. He's got what, like 400,000 subscribers, something like that? If he streams this game day one and the Metacritic score for this game was a 90, he probably has 20, 30,000 people in his stream. I watched him day one when I right before I did my stream. Bro, he had 82 people in there. That's how far this game has fallen. The game has just hit 3 million sales. That's impressive. If this game would have released with a 90 Metacritic, I think it'd already be at like 7. Because I think the wish list alone was close to 6. Then you talking Sony and Microsoft. Like, I think everyone who saw this was like, oh, this is a 300-hour game worth of content. You're talking about legit content. Like, it feels alive. It feels immersive. Man, this is like the biggest what could have been ever. And it's all because they couldn't check their ego at the door. And instead, they released the game basically in a little bit better than beta state. And that's just sad. Because the gameplay is fun. The bosses look cool and they're different and they're unique. But there's like a simplicity to them that I think is like, oh, there's a big guy in armor with drills for hands. That kind of looks like a knockoff of the people in Bioshock, the Big Daddy. And then there's other bosses. They're not as far fetched and crazy as like the Elden Rings and Dark Souls and Bloodborns. It's almost like a real what this would be like if you lived in this world and it was realistic. And instead they screwed it up. This game, if it released in June, maybe even August, I think could have sold 10 million copies this year and probably sold another 5 or 6 copies, 5 to 6 million next year. And then maybe an additional 4 or 5 the year after. So within 3 years, they could have been at 20 million. Now there's gonna have to be some big 6 month update. Now, granted, they did say they're gonna like add like a GTA online to this game. They mentioned that before launch. But man, they basically gotta spend 3 months worth of fixing stuff. Like, seriously, if this game would have released mid June, mid July, even if just they had tightened up the controls, fixed the color scheme, and the font size for the weapons, like once you take care of like the numbers and you can see the numbers, you can see your mini map, you can see the roads, you have storage, you get rid of some of the bugs and the glitchiness and stability issues. Cause when I was streaming this the other day, the thing I after I hit the 6 hour mark, it crashed on me 5 times in the next 2 hours, which makes me understand why they only let the people for early access play for 6 hours. Because after 6 hours, their game became unstable. Which means they knew after 6 hours the game became unstable. And that's just sad. They couldn't check the ego at the door. Now this is what happens. They could have sold 10, 20 million copies over the next 2, 3 years. Set their franchise up for sequel after sequel, created a new franchise, and instead they wet the bed. But that's enough rambling for me today. This is Brian at Game Sense. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and y'all have a good night.